Hey, we're cooking with gas here. On the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakkenaf van Jan.
Nebbig.
Ver poepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertutst.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Oh, yeah. Phase 1 of American Jew. What are we doing?
Yeah, we're phasing back into society again. I don't know. Is construction beginning across the street from you already?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, that's the good thing about phase 1 reopening. You finally, get up at the same time as the construction workers start.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing, but it's happening. We're trying to come out of the whole COVID quarantine. People are still protesting for Black Lives Matter, which we support wholeheartedly.
There's lots of craziness in the world, but there is some good news. There is still some good news out there, which is always,
It was hard to find, but we were able to find something good.
Yeah, we found good news in the world of anti-Semitism, if you could believe.
Yes, wow, finally we have something nice to say about it, something positive, I guess, about anti-Semitism.
Yeah, the Combat Anti-Semitism Movement and the American Sephardic Federation to Muslim Leaders have given an award, the first award of its kind, to a Muslim leader who is fighting against anti-Semitism. The Secretary General of the Muslim World League, Sheikh Mohammed Al-Isa, was honored with the first award of its kind, and he combats anti-Semitism because he's against hatred. The thing that we talk about all the time is that
this is fantastic, because he is a Muslim. He's from Saudi Arabia. There are a lot of Muslim spiritual leaders that want the destruction of the Jewish state. So it's nice to hear somebody coming and saying, no, these are our brothers, and we have to stand. I think he said something like we have to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Yeah,
it's really kind of amazing to hear him say the kind of things that he's saying, because you don't hear a lot of Muslim leaders talking about this, specifically. He said that,
for sure.
Yeah, he's talking about how, Jews have been unfairly targeted by terrorist attacks in Pittsburgh, in San Diego, in Muncie, in Germany. He says, I condemn each and every one of these assaults upon humanity, and as if they were attacks on Muslims.
Which is fantastic, because there are plenty of attacks on Muslims, and we should be together on this, both fighting against attacks on Muslims or Jews. Apparently he visited Auschwitz too. He was never again. And I like what he said, because he said never again. He goes, not for Jews, not for Muslims, not for Christians, not for Hindus, not for Sikhs, not for any of God's children. And I think that's true, especially, in this time, in this pivotal moment in history, all the protests, and hopefully we can see some change in the racial divide. That yes, we have love for everybody. There might be things that make us different, but it doesn't mean they have to drive us apart. We need to embrace our differences, embrace other people's differences.
I'm heartened by this type of stuff, the fact that there are people fighting for humanity.
Yes, that is always good.
Yes. And we should mention this because it's always exciting to have any kind of Jeopardy news to begin with. And it's certainly, if I want my parents to listen to the show, you're going to have to mention Jeopardy.
Yes, their eldest son, and Judaism isn't enough.
Well, they are big Jeopardy fans, and I don't know if you watch Jeopardy, but
I've seen it.
They
I'm not regular.
This year's teachers tournament, the winner was a Jewish woman.
Hey now, mazel tov.
Well, the funny thing to me is that nobody realized that she was Jewish until she won, because she apparently had a runaway, so she didn't have to bet a lot. So she bet $18 on her final Jeopardy, and she won.
Hey, 18, Chai, we love that number.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird to me when you say, nobody knew she was Jewish. I never know the religions of anybody on Jeopardy.
Well, I mean, they should have known that she was Jewish, because she teaches at a Jewish day school on the Upper West Side. So, I mean...
Oh, so hopefully the people that didn't know aren't contestants on Jeopardy. What is stuff we should have known for 500 hours?
Well, still, it's the teachers tournament on Jeopardy is always a good opportunity to celebrate our teachers.
Publicly winning money in front of the whole country never has any bad results.
Well, hopefully she put some of that money into the community. She won $50,000.
Can we talk a little bit about annexation?
Right.
So we have possible annexation happening on July 1st. Netanyahu wants to annex certain places in the West Bank, close to the Jordan Valley, I guess. This is very upsetting to the Palestinians, the hope of a Palestinian state, the Palestinian community. Of course, Donald Trump, in one of his peace plans, he gave Israel permission to do so. He'll probably, backtrack on that now with everything that's happened. But a lot of countries now are coming out. The foreign minister of Germany came out. Apparently, Ireland says the same thing, that if Israel goes ahead with this annexation, they will recognize Palestine as a state. They are against this annexation, which I am too. We want to have peace. We want to, live like the Sikh had wanted, live shoulder to shoulder with our brothers, whether they be Palestinian or not, Muslim or not. And hopefully we could, all live together, and we could end some of this horrible tragedies that has happened because of the violence in the Middle East.
There are a lot of people on both sides that want to work together to find peace in that region. Essentially, this annexation, if it goes ahead, squashes any possibility of there ever being a real relationship between the Palestinian and the Israeli people.
Yeah, this will really be like a big blow to that. It'll just mess things up. It'll, if we think, of course, what's happening in the States is, big, what's going to happen there is going to be the same thing. And I'm sure it'll get even more violent than, unfortunately, it has got here in the U.S.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't know if we're going to be able to solve this in our lifetime. I mean, this is something that's been going on for generations.
Well, Netanyahu, the more I learn about him, the less of a fan I become. He weaseled his way in to keep his title. He cares strongly, feels strongly about this annexation. It was one of his platforms that he kind of ran on. But, a lot of people from, of course, right-wing in Israel, they support him. They support the annexation. There are a lot of evangelical Christians in the States that support it, too, because they'd rather Israel have control over that land. They deem it as a holy land, too. But, we want peace in the Middle East, not just for, Israel to have more land. I know Israel thinks this is the land that they won in the past, but no, this is not. We need to live side by side with our Palestinian brothers and sisters.
And, the thing that we talk about on this show all the time is that people confuse the argument, of being against the Israeli occupation means that you are anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. And we always talk about how that's not the case. I think that if you look at the situation as a human, there are atrocities going on that are not being properly presented.
Yeah, for sure.
Us. And as Americans, I think we have a hard time, especially as American Jews, our affiliation with Israeli people and with just people in general, with the human race.
Well, I think the general consensus among American Jews, especially liberal Jews, is they are against the annexation. And, I've been thinking a lot about this. There's such a racial divide right now, and, the treatment of African Americans by America has just been awful, from slavery to mass incarceration to police shooting, and it's a tragedy. And it's just crazy to me how we've come from such a place filled with hatred and racism and bigotry and anti-Semitism, all these things. And it's almost like we have to evolve past it. We have hatred towards people, whether it's of a race or religion or creed, and then all of a sudden we we realize it's wrong to have that kind of hatred. It's wrong to treat people like that. And I understand what more has to happen for that to get through to people in Israel that are for taking over Palestine. It's wrong what happened. We're glad there could be a state for Israel and a Jewish state, but Palestinian people still, a lot had their land taken away. They were chased out of places, and we don't want to find more reasons to treat them badly. We want to find more reasons to live in harmony with them. And I think we got to do that across the board with everything. We got to look back at our history and say, oh my gosh, this cycle of hate that we've had, whether it be for blacks, whether it be for gays, whether it be for Muslims, it never brought us anywhere good. And all it did was later we realized, oh man, that was bad. That was wrong. We're ashamed of our past. We want to be on the right side of history. And that is to spread love and equality and acceptance for all people.
And to stamp out and call out blind hatred whenever we see it.
There is that old quote. I don't know if you've ever heard it before. I'm sure you have, Jordan. It's by Edmund Burke, and he says, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And I agree with that. And, speaking of which, I know Netanyahu, Israel, they might want to move into annexation, but it's not all bad things in Israel because an Israeli Supreme Court actually struck down a law this week that had retroactively legalized about 4,000 settler homes built on privately owned Palestinian land in the West Bank. So basically, it acknowledged that this was against the Palestinian rights to steal their land, and just because it got to Israeli settlers, it didn't mean that, they should be prioritized over the Palestinians. And I think that's a step in the right direction.
It is always weird as an American to judge other people for, other countries for stealing land from another country, from other people.
It's just like I was saying before, Exactly. We did that to the Native Americans. The way we treated them was absolutely horrific, stealing their land, killing them. And, now that wouldn't fly, We can't repeat these horrible, horrific acts of violence, of segregation, of hatred, of bigotry, of just because somebody's different, thinking that we're more superior or whatever. It's our manifest destiny to own the land or the country. Like, it's not. Like, we have to treat everybody well. We got to be so concerned with the ethical treatment of all human beings. Well,
and the one good thing is that, even though some of the solutions to some of these problems are not evident and there's a lot of difficulty in negotiating all the different elements of it, the fact that we are starting to recognize what some of the problems are and we're calling them out, like, that is good. Like, for example, what's happening in England right now, in the UK, that's launching an investigation to find out why people are more prejudiced against black Jews in Britain than elsewhere.
Well, even in the Jewish community, they're not as acceptant as black Jews as they are to white Jews. Black Jews are almost, Jews almost treat them as second-class citizens. And there's been a call from rabbis, from Jewish institutions, that this has to end. And we have to unite. There shouldn't be white Jews and black Jews. There should only be Jews. It doesn't matter. You don't have to add a color before you. And yes, there's this organization in the United Kingdom, and they want to investigate prejudice that exists for British Jews of color, and that's good. Jews should be welcoming to our own black members. And I think this is good. What happened with George Floyd is such a tragedy, but what it sparked across the world, people looking at the way they're treating others for a change for the positive, is a great thing. And especially amongst the Jewish community, I know we always take that kind of angle when it comes to Palestine about how could the Jews be treating the Palestinian people like this after we were treated so horrifically throughout history. And now it's like, not only were we kind of doing this a little to the Palestinian people, but we're doing this to the own black people in our own communities.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the Jews seem to get the short end of the stick everywhere. And if you're a black Jew, that's even shorter.
You don't even get a stick.
You don't even get a stick.
So, exactly. It's horrible. We talked about this a little bit last week. The congressman, George Eves, I believe his name was, he wants to be the first black Jewish one. That, I think that's another step in the right direction. We have to look within our own communities. We're so eager right now to, fuck the police and white people. But, racism exists everywhere. As Jews, we need to do our part. And I think that's one reason why I think we're excited to have the guests that we're going to have today on the show, Dino Vigo, who's a comedian and a friend of ours, and he's also a Jew of color.
We're excited to have him on.
All right, we're really excited to have our friend and fellow comedian and actor, Dino Vigo, on the show. What up, Dino?
What's going down, everybody? Jordon, Jonathan, and all the thousands of millions of listeners, right? Millions.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we love your optimism. Thank you so much.
There you go.
We're glad you could come on the show, Dino, and offer your perspective of, because you're Jewish. No one would guess. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, Dino?
My Jewish background. Well, okay. My mother is Jewish, which makes me an official Jew.
L'chaim.
Tribe. Yeah, l'chaim and shalom and all that shit. Mazel tov, motherfuckers. So my mother is a Russian Jew,
all right,
from the Bronx, and my father is black Puerto Rican from the Bronx.
All right, so you really got like three things going for you. You got black, Latino, and Jewish. Is there like one group that you feel like you fit in with more?
Yeah, well, I talk about that in my act often, and people do think like it's not really who do I fit in more. It's basically like who kind of accepted me the most. Being that no one knew I was Jewish. It's not Jews. Although, Jews are very accepting people, but they just didn't know no one knew I was Jewish. Especially when I was younger, I look even much more ethnic than I even do now.
I want to make a joke about that, but I don't think now's the right time.
Hey, you're an artist, man. You do what you must. Basically, the African American community, number one was like, you're black. You're with us. You're black. And the Latin community as well, but, and then, my family, that no one knew I was Jewish, so that's basically that.
Not even in your family.
No, obviously my family, but my family is very small. It was my mom, my aunt, my cousin, and my uncle is really the only family that I had here.
So did you grow up at all with like Judaism being like a part of your life, or other than just like your mom?
But I did. So there's the twist though. Like, but I was Jewish. If you asked me like what religion I was when I was a kid, it was I'm Jewish. Like I'm Jewish. But we weren't religious at all. I was definitely, told what I was, and we did celebrate like Hanukkah, basically Hanukkah and Passover. I was Jewish. My aunt and uncle were, I guess, a little more religious than us, but not super religious. But I don't know if you know the Jew geographic, of New York City or of New York area. But so my aunt and uncle, they lived in Muncie.
Okay, very Jewish area.
That is a super Jewish area, like a lot of Hasidic Jews and everything. Super Jewish area. I do remember.
They had street cred.
Yeah. Every Passover, we went to their house. And I remember sitting there and being very uninterested.
Okay.
What did you guys go through that? Did you have were you religious? Is it just me because I didn't feel like I was supposed to be there, or like?
I mean, I was raised very Reform. My family was not very religious. My dad went to temple for some of the high holy days, Rosh Hashanah and for Yom Kippur, and we would go to those holidays. But definitely, sitting through any sort of ritual was always boring. You never,
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
No.
I was like, and they were speaking Hebrew. I had no idea what the fuck was happening.
So other than like in name, you didn't really have you weren't interested at all really with Judaism.
Yeah, no. To be honest, no.
Did you get bar mitzvahed?
No, and I was given a choice. Actually, my mother came to me on my 13th birthday. And she was like, do you want to have a bar mitzvah? And I said no, actually, not because I didn't want it, but because I didn't want one that wasn't real.
Right.
Like, I know what goes into having a bar mitzvah. That's like your whole life.
Okay, so you didn't want to sell out to Judaism.
Yeah. I remember actually being conscious of that. Like, I don't want a fake bar mitzvah. If I didn't go to Hebrew school all those years and learn all those, went into that. Like, no, I don't, because I had Jewish friends, and that was a big deal, and I didn't want to have a fake one.
So, and were your Jewish friends were they cool with you? Did they treat you any differently because you're black?
I had one Jewish friends. I guess I'm going a little far, but my best friend was this Jewish kid, and he was like, his family was super religious. They were Israeli. It was weird. Like, if he would joke, he would tease me or make or crack a joke here and there about how I wasn't really Jewish.
How did that make you feel?
It was all jokes between us. It was cool. I mean, to this day we're kind of friendly, and he'll still say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. It was fun. It wasn't nothing racist.
You didn't take it too personally.
I mean, that's how it is. That's like the New York sensibility. Your best friends are the people that say the most horrible shit to you as a term of endearment.
Yeah, it wasn't, and he was kind of right. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going. He was in temple every weekend and very much involved in the culture. And I'm just this guy who's like, oh yeah, I'm Jewish, but didn't put any of the work in, the studying or whatever it is to say that you're Jewish.
Right. I mean, we kind of talk about this. If you want to be a Jew, you can be a Jew. You don't have to really do anything.
Is it the same in other religions too? You just say, I'm this. But if you don't go to church all the time, do people mess with you? Or is that like a Jewish thing?
I can see how Jews could be maybe a little more judgy, but no, I think it's with all religions, actually.
Yeah.
Well, if you're like a diehard Catholic or Christian in the community, the same thing. Why aren't you in church, or why don't you get baptized or something like that?
Are you two practicing Jews now?
No.
Yeah.
We don't practice.
We started the show,
food.
we do this show because we identify with Judaism on a secular level, from we like a lot of the community aspects, the family aspects, the food, but we don't really adhere to any of the rituals or a lot of the religious practices.
Gotcha.
But it's still a part of our heritage and I guess who we are as people, whether we accept the religious dogma or not.
That pretty much defines me. I guess that's why you asked me to be honest. I'm proud to say, that I'm Jewish. I don't hide it. I talk about it on stage. I definitely, I identify with it.
Did you ever, I know you said like your friend was kind of joking around, but like, did you ever feel any sense of prejudice or bigotry from Jewish people because, you weren't like the traditional Jew?
No, I think it's weird. I think when people find out that I'm Jewish, they're kind of like, they're excited.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, you're one of us. I guess when I tell them, like, oh no, my mother's a Russian Jew, and they're like, oh wow, you really are. Especially now, like I was doing a show one time, it's one of the shows where I did mention it, and there was some Hasidics in the crowd. And some like young liberal dudes, how the new ones are kind of, they got the internet and stuff. And, and it happened a lot. They would come up to me and be like, hey, here's, but they would be like, hey, if you ever want to like really, really be a Jew, call me. We'll bring you in.
Right. That is what we do.
They'll bring you in?
Yeah, the Hasids, they don't recruit, but if you're already one of us, they help you be more Jewish.
And then one guy, supposedly he's like the man in that community. He's a musician. He took my information, hit me up on Facebook, a few weeks later and asked me to do a show for his people in Brooklyn. And it was the worst experience I've ever had in my life.
No. Why? With just bad audience or?
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, it was for a whole group of Hasidics. So I don't know if you know that culture, I just learned this at that time. I knew nothing about this. So supposedly when one of them get married, they have a week-long celebration where every day someone in the family throws a party for them, for the newlyweds.
Right. Sheva Brachas, it's called.
Yeah, what you just said. So he asked me to come. I guess one of their relatives, the rich uncle or grandfather, whatever, super rich dude in that community, and he had a restaurant, and this guy was throwing one of the Sheba Chabakabakids.
Okay.
And so he thought it would be a good idea. The kid thought it would be a good idea to pitch to that guy, hey, I met this comedian, he's a Jew, and, we should have him perform, because he was performing to the young kid, the musician. And the guy agreed, and they had me, he came to me, the budget was pretty good, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to say no to that. He said, can you bring 2 Jewish comedians? And I brought Jason Andors and Warren
Holstein.
Okay.
So we get there, cool venue for like a regular comedy show. Like in the back, it was like a really nice restaurant, and they had a separate room in the back, set up a little stage. It was perfect for a comedy show. But what's crazy was they had a divider.
Oh, for men and women.
Yes. Straight down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was if you're on the stage, right in front of me is the divider. And the women were to my right and the men to the left. They couldn't see each other, but they could see me. The women would not even look at me.
Mm.
And
okay.
I'm like, why are they even here if they're not even going to look at us? And so I'm hosting this thing, and I'm cracking a few jokes. And they obviously gave me rules. I can't be political. I can't don't talk about Trump, and don't curse, obviously. So I'm doing the show, and the men are laughing a little bit. The younger ones are into it, and I'm making like silly, corny jokes. I'm just trying to survive on there. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, because there were a lot of the older guys were the very super traditional, very religious guys. So like they kind of weren't laughing, but the younger ones were super into it. So I get through it, the first part, and then I bring up Warren, and then I go off stage, and I'm like it's like the rating room, like I'm in the back part where like I don't know what's going on stage, and the kid that hired me comes back, he's like, "Go get your boy."
Oh no.
Yeah, Warren said, "Bitch."
Uh-oh.
And he wasn't even
Can't say
referring. First of all, I told Warren don't curse, but whatever, He said bitch, and he actually literally was referring to a female dog in this bit. I guess he was trying to be edgy and walk the line, and they were not having it, and they were like, "Go get him!" Like it was the end of the world. I went and got him off, and they just started playing music. They basically paid us to leave after that.
Oh, that was it. No, Jason didn't go on.
Anders never got to go on stage. I never got to go back. The kid,
wow.
And then the young kids, like the liberal dudes, the progressive guys, they were like, "Yo, that was the best shit we've ever seen."
Well, that's good.
They were like, "Yo, he said bitch. That's crazy." They were like, "What's so happy?" And they were happy that the older people didn't approve, which is, I guess, hilarious.
Yeah. Well, that's always how it is. You have an older crowd, that's always their kids that have a good time, and the older people that are frowning in the back.
Do you
so if you have a family of your own one day, do you plan on having Judaism be a part of your life with them?
I religiously, no, but just like my mother did with me, I would tell them who they were and what they are, their lineage, they're Jewish, I do look at Judaism as more than a religion. It's like almost like a race, Yeah, they're going to be Jewish, as well as whatever my wife is. And if she's super religious, then she could take the lead on that, but I'm not,
Yeah.
Okay. Does your family still do like Passover?
Yeah, they do. I mean, my uncle was the big, head of that. And he passed away a while ago. So, but we get together on Passover sometimes, but we don't do the big, long thing like they did. But they do something, but they don't do like the full, like, yeah. I don't know. I remember it being long as fuck. Maybe I was just a kid and it was actually like 10 minutes.
Oh, no, it is. It is incredibly long.
Okay.
That's one of the things with it. Like, oh, how long is this?
Yeah.
Usually, I know at Jordan's house, after the meal, they're just like, whatever, we're done.
At my house, we're very.
So I guess
casual.
now it's a revised version, and we just do some real quick shit and pass the wine around and start to eat.
I wonder, as somebody that doesn't look Jewish, that most people wouldn't necessarily know unless you told them. Have you ever felt anti-Semitism? Have you seen people being discriminatory towards Jewish people before you tell them?
Every day, almost. Yeah.
Every day, wow.
Well, not every day, but a lot. You hear the comments. But some of it is, people, the stereotypes and the like. I'm in the black community, which I am very much a part of. There is some negative feelings toward the Jewish community, and certain, they feel like there is some racism there.
That Jews are racist.
Yeah, that's there. Those feelings are there. That Jews run everything, and the Jews control everything, and
okay, wow,
yeah. But then there's also the feelings that we need to be more like Jews. And
really,
yes.
In what regard?
You even hear it in the rap songs and like in Jay-Z's lyrics and a lot of rappers' lyrics. It's like we need to keep our money in our community like the Jews and open businesses, and because the Jews are known for that, like taking care of their own. So that's where the negative feelings come in, and that's also where like we need to be like them.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that it has both of those connotations.
Yeah.
Being someone that's multicultural and in today's day where with everything that's going on, with all the protests, like what do you think like Jewish people could do to be more accepting and more of an ally to the African American community?
I think like not even specific to Jews, just anybody. Just open up your world to different experiences, man. Us being New York City guys, you don't really you've been around everything. So, but there's people that don't have that, and they live in communities, and they literally, live in communities where like there's one black kid in their school. So you have to expose yourself to different cultures and different people and people that look different than you, and that's it.
Okay.
Talk to people, man. Get a Chinese friend, get a black friend, get a Puerto Rican friend. Man. It's like you just have everything that's the same around you. automatically going to look at other people different, that they're different than you.
I like to, tell people that I have a Jewish friend, I have a Puerto Rican friend, I have a black friend, and it's all you.
Just befriend me,
Yeah, Dino checks off 3 of the boxes.
Yeah.
We have some questions we'd like to ask all our guests. I was going to ask you, what's your favorite Jewish food?
Latkes.
The latkes.
Okay.
Can't go wrong with the latkes.
Latkes and blintzes.
Blintzes, okay.
By the way, so my family, they're European Jews, so like they spoke Yiddish in my house.
Right. Do you speak?
Oh wow, do you speak Yiddish?
Nah, just a bunch of words that I remember. But all I remember is my mother and my grandmother like having full on conversations where it's like, "What the fuck are you guys saying?"
What are the words? What are your?
I wish I learned. I don't know Spanish either. I wish I learned all the languages that I'm supposed to know. But
okay, yeah, you can know Hebrew and Yiddish and Spanish.
Do you have a favorite Yiddish word?
Mashigana is probably the go-to.
That's a good one.
So, favorite Jewish holiday?
I guess Hanukkah, but Hanukkah was also kind of like a letdown for a Jew in America.
Yeah.
Okay, Did you not get good presents?
I don't think any Jew does.
It's funny. We got 8 candles. We got 8 candles for Hanukkah, and not one of them holds it. You can't hold a single candle to Christmas.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Jew?
Favorite Jew. I don't want to be. Favorite Jew. Well, this Jew popped in my head, but he can't be my favorite Jew of all time. But I mean, Drake just popped in my head, but he's not that.
Right.
Okay. Sure, you have to go with the other black Jew, Dino.
But that's why I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, nah, it's not him anyway. I'm trying to think who are the Jews that I mean, I guess we're gonna go super black then and go Sammy Davis.
There you go.
Okay, the Sandman, nice.
Yeah, there we go, Sammy.
Can't go wrong.
Okay, cool. By the way, I was at a party the other day at the Jersey Shore. And someone's like, "Oh, you look like somebody. Who do you look like?" And they asked some guy, and the guy goes, "I don't know, somebody Jewish."
Yeah, Jewish motherfucker.
That was his response. I was like, "That's borderline anti-Semitic, buddy." Dino, is there anything you want to plug?
I mean, yeah, whatever. My Instagram is Dino Vigo. I have 0 shows coming up. If you guys didn't know that's. Let me ask you a question real quick. What do you guys think is the future of us?
Of comedy or of Jews?
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, listen, comedy clubs may not be an essential business, but comedy is an essential part of humanity, and we will find a way. As hard as it was to make a living before this, we still found a way. So we'll find a way.
When it comes to Judaism, my hope is that, the future has us being more of like a collective instead of separate by all religions, What's happening now on the streets hopefully will help end some of the racial divides. And then I think the next thing we'll have religious divides. And then, of course, it'll be like, sexual preference divides until we could all just like be together and we don't have to separate ourselves by things. That's what I hope.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what comedy, I think, does the best, is that it brings people together and we share different perspectives. So, comedy is one of the few things that treats everybody the same. You bring everybody in the room together. Let's talk about this. I think that comedy is one of the few.
It doesn't judge you by your religion or your race. It judges you whether you're funny or not.
Right.
I mean, yeah, agreed. Definitely, it is definitely, we're separated by how funny we are and not what we look like.
Yeah. You're judged on whether or not you're a hack or not.
Well, Dino, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, fellas. It was good to see your faces, too, man. This shit is...
You too, man. And if there are any Jewish girls out there that want to kind of piss off their dad but not piss him off all the way, hit up Dino.
Oh, yeah, Dino Vigo is my name, and that's everything. You can find me at all. It's Dino Vigo, at every stupid social media nonsense thing.
Perfect.
It's at Dino Vigo, man. Jordon and Jonathan, man. Very, very good seeing you guys and talking to you, man.
Good seeing you, Dino. Hopefully
Back
we'll
at
see you
ya.
soon at the clubs.
Yes, man. Yes.
Indeed.
Peace, everybody.
See ya.
Peace.
Well, that was exciting, huh?
That was a great episode. Of course, we thank Dino for coming on and sharing his experience. We want to thank all you for listening. We urge you all to, spread love and positivity and acceptance out there for whether people are Jewish or not Jewish or of color or not of color.
And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. We are American...
After you do that, after you accept everybody and love everybody.
Yes, after you spread the love, spread some likes our way. Go to our Facebook page, American Jew Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at American Jew Pod. We're on Instagram at American Jew Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Beatnik Nudnik.
You could email us, AmericanJewPodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow me across social media platforms at Jonathan Randall.
Thank you, guys. We'll be back next week.